Ghana is an icon of West Africa, with some of the best food you'll find on this continent.
How is Ghanaian food different from other countries?
But if you've never been here, then this...
We're starting our tour with a food that's illegal.
Exactly.
Or this...
Yeah.
Or this...
That is massive. I can't believe how big these things can get.
May look completely foreign to you, so let me help you get acquainted. In this extended Ghana food series, I'm on a mission to show you African food like you've never seen it before. Starting in Ghana's capital of Accra, then heading to the central city of Kumasi, and finally ending in the fishing town of Elmina.
Let's take it off. Oh my God. That is insane.
From traditional meals that define the heart of Ghanaian food,
I like pig feet. I'm a foot guy.
all the way to illegal bushmeat
Why is bushmeat important to Ghana?
that may push your culinary comfort to the edge.
You know, people here eat the pangolin. They make it like in a soup form.
Oh my God.
Before we get there, let's dive into street food, some of the cheapest and most flavorful in Africa. And it all starts here at Makola Market. Starting with not a chicken butt, but a turkey butt. Or should I say turkey tails, a food that's actually illegal in Ghana. To spot someone selling it, you need a sharp eye. Here, illegal or not, the food is always on the march, constantly in motion, skillfully carried on the heads of these hawkers, always moving, appearing, then disappearing in a flash. Luckily, I'm with Chichi, a social media personality, restaurant owner, and a food lover who can sniff out any hidden treat here in Ghana.
We're starting our tour with a food that's illegal.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, there's a woman here with a glass case proudly and clearly displaying turkey tails to the world.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's a delicacy in Ghana. We call it TSOFI because of it being turkey tails, and actually it has so much fat. So it's banned. But people still eat it in public and no one gets arrested. So
In 1999, the government declared all poultry products above 15% fat to be banned. Meanwhile, turkey tails consist of nearly 45% fat. But rules that aren't enforced aren't always followed.
Are you happy that it's illegal so it scares away your competition from also selling turkey tails?
Now the turkey tail is a forbidden food with a scarlet letter F, one that this woman turns into golden treasures that dozens dine on daily.
yeah.
So it's good that it's illegal. I mean, it's good for business.
It's good for business.
Let's go for it. Oh, I feel naughty. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh yeah, some part of it tastes like greasy fried chicken. It's very oily. It's almost just pure fat with skin on the outside that's been fried, so it's a little bit crispy or more tough than the rest of the bite. I like that. Are you making this at home?
She says she makes it at home.
Tell me a little bit about this preparation.
First, you blend habanero peppers, garlic, onion, ginger, and steam it all together. And after, you deep fry it.
Super simple, straightforward, and illegal. This is Makola Market, right?
This is where everything happens, and it's so busy. If you come to Ghana and you don't visit Makola, you didn't see what the central part of Ghana is all about.
Located in the heart of Ghana's bustling capital of Accra, you'll find Makola, one of West Africa's biggest open-air markets. From the crack of dawn until the sun sets, this place hums with the rhythm of commercial activity and trade, teeming with energy, colors, and sounds. Generously offering an overwhelming sensory overload at every turn.
It's the place you can get anything you can think of. When you look around, you can see clothes, you can see sports stuff, you can see saucepans, you can see food, and everything is on a wholesale price here.
Today we're here for the food. What can we expect to find?
You can find a wide variety of things. From kenke, which is made from kondo, to jollof rice, to TZ, to beans. We call it gobe.
The street food scene here is where convenience meets complexity. You'll find everything from head-carried delights all the way to proper food stalls, serving up more intricate dishes that demand time, attention, and love. Like this, an iconic hand-eaten stew where every bit of the cow's remnants are brought to life.
This part we call the towel.
But then what's this? The bathroom rug?
We'll be trying it soon. But first, Ghanaian gasoline, a calorie bomb that fuels locals for just pennies. And this time, it's actually legal.
First of all, the name is unique. It's a combination of letters and a number.
Yes.
It combines gari, oil, beans, and egg. And yes, the name is an acronym derived from its key ingredients.
Okay, we skipped over the gari part. Who's that guy?
It's crispy cassava, like cassava flakes. It makes it much more heavier and condensed. So when you add the gari, trust me, you can go hours and you still feel full up.
You ever eat this before clubbing?
Here's how it's made. Soak beans overnight and boil until they soften up.
Do you know what kind of beans these are?
Black eye.
Black eyed peas?
Yeah.
Like the band?
Dish up the beans, then the gari. Then add palm oil and mix it all together. Now for the toppings. At least one hard-boiled egg is a must. But if you need more fuel, there's nothing wrong with adding some slices of fried plantain.
Let's start with just the beans. Beany, starchy, just like a thick bean gravy. And the flakes do make it feel more thick.
Yeah.
I think it's also just adding more nourishment.
Yeah. You can have a bit of the plantain.
Some sweet plantain to go with that more like savory, heavy bean.
Yeah.
Cheers. That's good. And we have some egg.
We love eggs.
All right, egg's good. But I think the sweet plantain mixed with some of that savory, super heavy bean with the oil in there too, it's a nice combination. So far we've just had barely a taste of Ghanaian food. But I guess my big question as we're getting into the day is, how is Ghanaian food different from other countries?
Ghanaian food to me is so broad and so versatile that it's unending. Because of the number of regions we have 16 now, that is different cultural groups, and each ethnicity has a different kind of food that goes on. But one thing I can say is Ghanaian food is highly dominated of carbs. Let's say 60% of the food being carbs. If you feed a Ghanaian and the carbs are missing or there's not a lot on the plate, then something is missing.
The varied staple carbohydrates of Ghana include beans, cassava, plantains, yams, corn flour, and rice.
We like our food spicy. We want to taste the flavors of the spice. You wouldn't have a soup or a stew in Ghana where ginger, garlic, or onion is missing. No way.
With a sprawling coastline, fish is a big deal in Accra, making a splash as the top protein, alongside chicken, beef, and sometimes snails.
That is massive, especially for a land snail.
But we'll get to that on a different episode. Next up, a meal that's oozing with flavor. It's sometimes slimy, and it's always a hands-on experience.
I noticed immediately we don't have any cutlery.
This is a cutlery. S-P-O-O-N. Spoon.
Nice.
If you get lost in the right alley of Makola Market, you may stumble upon Hajia Habiba's shop where they're serving this.
This actually is one of my favorite food. This is TZ, but the actual name is TUO-ZAAFI, mostly eaten at the northern parts of Ghana. It's an experience. I can't wait for you to try it.
Don't try to resist.
TUO-ZAAFI is made from three main components. First, the base. Mix corn flour with water until it becomes a new creature. Then add in boiling water and stir constantly until smooth and velvety. Gradually, add in a mixture of corn flour and cassava flour to the boiling pot.
You know, around Africa, there's many different types of carbs made from maize. If you go to Tanzania, they call it ugali, and there it's much more thick. Here, this is much more velvety, almost like silky.
It's because of the way it's processed. Because what we don't want our TUO-ZAAFI to be is lumpy.
Now for the green sauce.
It's called Ayoyo.
That's actually the local name of the leaves the sauce is made from, more commonly known as jute leaves. Chop and boil them with onions. Add salt, fish powder, and dawa dawa. Simmer and stir until soft and slimy. The third and final component is the protein stew, a bold blend of flavors including tomato paste, onions, peppers, garlic, ginger, salt, and your choice of protein. But if you're at this stall, it's gonna be beef organs. Assemble the dish and it's ready to eat.
Is this a pretty gamey dish? Smells good. Should I take my watch off?
No.
I'm such a messy eater.
No, you'll be fine.
Okay.
Take a little bit of it
Oh, just a little
and
bit.
mix it up with all the soup and stuff like that. Good. You're
Oh, it's
fast
really
learner.
thick.
Turn it around. You see, you lose the slime while you turn it
Oh
around.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Good. Now let's go.
All right, cheers. Oh, that's good. It's such a deep flavor. It's spicy. There's something in there that tastes charred or burned.
It's habanero pepper.
That's good. This is such a new food for me. I don't know what to compare this to except for maybe a finely mashed potato. There's something that tastes very savory. It tastes smoky.
It could be dry fish.
That's what it is.
And they use fish powder for the stew beans.
Wow. You know, the Vietnamese have fish sauce. Here, the smoked fish, when it gets concentrated and then put into the stew, it adds so much flavor. All right, enough talk about that. Let's get into these organs. I got a lot of stomach.
This part we call the towel. It feels like a towel.
Oh, right.
I have got liver.
You want some towel?
Cheers.
That's pretty good. I gotta say, I'm very impressed. How long do you think they cook the stew with that stomach? Because it's so soft now. I mean, it's a little bit chewy, but it's not too chewy.
In the total of this can be close to 120 minutes.
It's so good. I'm not even talking shit. When I'm eating this part of the animal, honestly, it's 50-50 that it's gonna be good. And it depends on usually the preparation. Here, they absolutely know what they're doing. Do you know how much this costs?
This is $1.5 approximately.
That's wild. That's so insanely affordable. So you're doing social media and you own a restaurant.
Yes.
Which one is more fun?
Oh, this is hard. I'll say the one that I talk about food because it's not just my food, but what other people cook as well. Because once it's good food, I want to talk about it.
From a determined childhood dream to a thriving reality today, Chichi's going strong, running 3 restaurants with a thriving catering service at the same time. But now, her sights are set on an even bigger mission, putting Ghanaian food on the world map.
How well does the street food of Ghana represent the food of Ghana in general?
I mean, food is an art. There's no one way to food. But if you want the indigenous way it's done and how it's been preserved over the years, then street food is a reliable place.
Hi.
Hi.
So we've left one market, we've come to another. Right here we have what looks like an egg sandwich.
Yeah.
But what is it really?
We call it CHIBOM.
This is no ordinary sandwich. This is an egg sandwich done the Ghanaian way.
It's well known and documented that a flat sandwich is much more delicious than a big, thick sandwich.
Yep.
Welcome to Emmanuella's spot, where the omelets are packed to the brim with a colorful medley of fresh vegetables and the spicy kick of chilies. Grab some bread and give it a good smack with whatever tool you have laying around.
Do you know what she used? It's like a paper towel dispenser you put on your counter.
Yeah.
She used that to pound our sandwiches. I like it. Cheers. Oh, that's nice. This might replace kebabs as the best junk food. I underestimated the bread. I thought, it's just some cheap bread. It has a nice elasticity to it. And then when she pounds it down, it gets kind of like thick. It's fun to chew through. I really do love it. The price, 75 cents.
Under $1.
Why do you think food is so cheap here?
Because some of these things, we produce them. We have lots of poultry farms here. So eggs are very affordable. That's why we even love eggs.
It's one of my favorite things today. Even though it's probably not a food that represents Ghana on the international stage, it's just yummy. What is the name of this market?
Osu Night Market.
It's a completely different vibe.
As the sun sets and daylight fades, Ghana's street food scene ignites with newfound energy.
It's the go-to place once you want to have a variety of things in Ghana and you want to do it downtown.
From the classic comforts of grilled and fried treats to food that dares to defy convention, a bold fusion of pasta, beans, and rice. This is a moment for carb lovers to rejoice.
Ghanaians, we love rice. Sometimes I ask myself, are we Chinese? We can eat rice every day.
But before that, a dish that only a true carnivore could appreciate.
Right here on this plate. This time, el puerco. It's pork.
DOMEDO, that's what we call it.
This looks and smells amazing.
Pork is rare in Ghanaian cuisine, possibly because about 20% of the population practices Islam. But that doesn't stop Joyce Odame from showcasing her roasted pork. That is for folks who don't mind being a bit haram.
This is full of spices. The taste notes you're going to be hitting are a variety of things, and it's so good.
Ooh, we're gonna hit more notes than Mariah Carey if she was a pig.
DOMEDO is usually smoked in a clay oven, then fried upon ordering, but its magic comes from its spice. Marinated with ginger, garlic, onion, chili peppers, and a hint of aromatic cloves and cinnamon. When the DOMEDO is dished up, it's showered with a spice blend including dried cayenne pepper, salt, ginger, ground peanuts, rosemary, and onion powder.
Today we've eaten with so many utensils. Hands, spoons, toothpicks. Now, is there a part of the pig that you prefer? Because I saw this stall earlier, and there's just a whole half of a pig head on top of everything. Is that a pretty prized part?
That's the selling point, so that you know that this is what they are selling. Because not everyone eats pork.
They could just write it on a menu, but no, let's go with the animal head.
Yeah, visuals.
The visual.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is drunk food. It's greasy. It's a bit crispy on the outside. It's so heavy. You can pair that with some onions. I like that. That spice on there is for real. It's like a little Ghana masala.
Yep.
Who do you think is eating this?
Everyone. It's a nighttime food, like a quick snack or something you can just have with beer.
Yeah, it's gotta be. Like, the beer is already carbs. For such a carb-loving country, when you're drinking, that's when you need the protein.
Definitely.
At last, it's time for the final showdown, an absolute food mountain that sits upon a leaf. The locals call it SHINKAFA, and you can find it here at the stall of Ma Leticia.
First of all, this restaurant's name, it is Anointed Lady That's not even the best part of this place. Let me tell you what they deal in, as they say. I'm talking parties, weddings, engagements, funerals. That is the full circle of life.
It's a one-stop shop.
You have a restaurant. Do you do weddings and also funerals?
Yes.
Can I ask you a direct question? Are people hungrier at funerals or weddings?
Hungry at weddings.
That makes sense. I would have been kind of shocked if you said funerals worked up an appetite.
No.
Alas, our final meal, and it's a big one. This is every food from Ghana.
The climax.
Yes.
Here's how it's made. On a leafy plate, fluffy, perfectly steamed rice forms the base. You can even throw in some boiled red-eyed peas and pasta. To tie all the carbs together, top it with a rich beef stew boasting meat, tender cow skin, and a flavor pop, coming from habanero peppers, ginger, garlic, onions, thyme, and a touch of salt.
Would it be fair to say never doubt Africans' abilities to put spaghetti into random stuff?
Never.
So there's kind of the sauce from the stew, and that kind of becomes our spaghetti sauce.
Mix it all up.
I think we work our way up to the beef chunks. There's beans, a little bit of lettuce, habanero. Cheers.
Ready?
Oh wow, that's complicated. Heat, a lot of salt, savoriness, something like black licorice in there, just a hint of it.
Yeah, maybe just because they really overcook this stew for a long period of time just to get this color and to get it to last. And it can last for 2 days without going bad because of the way it's prepped.
Also, there's a load of salt in there.
Yes.
It's very salty, but this is super delicious. All right, so right here, I got a big old piece of pork skin. Now, here's a question I have. In the US, every beef cut has a name. What would you call that?
I don't know what to place this one.
Exactly.
Because we eat every part of the ruminant.
Cheers.
Cheers. So tender.
Well, mine had a lot of skin on it.
Oh.
I like it though. It's way too salty, but it's delicious.
I agree.
So the protein is a bit more soft, a little bit more tender. The skin is a bit more thick, a little tough, but in a fun way. I like the skin, but when you get them together in one bite, your mouth gets confused.
Yes.
It's a mixture of textures, but I love it.
Not only is Chichi a street food expert, but she also runs her own restaurant. Next, we're headed to Nyo Nyo Canteen to try a food that Nigeria and Ghana have been warring over for a decade. I'm talking about jollof rice.
A few years ago, I went to Nigeria and I ate jollof rice with
Miss World Africa.
Together we shared this meal and she told me that,
Once you try this, you can try Ghana Jollof. I'm sorry.
how could I just be ignorant to the rice in Ghana?
You're not being ignorant. I'm telling you, you don't want to try it.
No.
Ghana Jollof is the best one.
This is Chef Maame, the owner of Accra's high-end restaurant known as Gastro. She'll be my culinary guide for today's journey.
I've tried jollof from a few other countries and I think the rice makes a big difference.
Rice cooked in a fragrant tomato-based sauce. It's the essence of all jollof variations across West Africa. Nigerian jollof uses parboiled rice, while Ghanaians opt for uncooked basmati or jasmine rice, yielding a more aromatic outcome compared to Nigeria's more bold, smoky rice.
So I'm Nigerian. My dad is Nigerian, but I was born and raised in Ghana. My mom is Ghanaian. I have worked in Nigeria. I have eaten Nigerian jollof from home, from restaurants, but if I'm to choose, I'll lean towards Ghana jollof.
Here, Chef Chichi will take on the challenge of creating the perfect Ghanaian jollof.
First, I'm going to crush my habanero. I don't want it too smooth, so I'm going to just crush it here in an earthenware.
But there's a catch. She won't let me leave until I declare a winner between Ghana and Nigeria.
This is tough.
But first, I need to see how she makes it.
I think this is fine, so we can get into the main action. So we start with the oil.
What are the ingredients that are giving jollof the different subtle variances in flavor that people want so much?
It differs from what you add as your protein base. In this case, I'm using the flavorful tolo beef fat. This is fat from goat meat.
Oh, that's not beef at all.
I know.
You said jollof beef.
Tolo means goat, but we just add the beef so that people get an idea that it's derived from the beef fat. So now we are adding this paste I got from the onion, the garlic, the habanero, and then the ginger.
Ooh, but the habanero smell is really powerful, but it has a spicy tang to it, but also a freshness.
Yes. So I want to get it turned to dark brown. Then I go ahead to add the other dry spices. So now I'm going ahead to add my cayenne pepper, my curry powder here, and then the dried herbs. I'm going to add the tomato paste now. I go on to add the habanero now, and then the onion cubes. Now we just leave it to stir up for close to 30 minutes so that our stew base will be ready for the rice.
Nyo Nyo Canteen is located next to the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, so that means some of Chichi's food makes it all the way to the mayor of Ghana's biggest city. That means it must be good.
So with jollof, it depends on the amount of rice that is going into it. And you need to constantly stir it up because I want it all to marinate well together in the pan. So this is going to take close to 180 minutes because I need to be careful with jollof. Jollof doesn't need rush.
Joining are jollof, stir-fried veggies, fried plantain, fried chicken, and braised and fried goat meat.
And I like to try my rice without anything first. That's how you know it's good jollof.
Oh, wow.
It's delicious.
The fat from the goat is very apparent. Savory, spicy. The heat is just a slow, glowing warmth right here in my chest. Not super spicy, and I don't even feel the spice really in my mouth. I just feel it right here. You've got bits of like goat skin here, right? And protein. It reminds me of what we tried yesterday. Because if you eat just like a nice big piece of protein like this with some intramuscular fat, that's a lot more tender. If you get a thick piece of skin, it's a little bit more chewy, but it's nice to have some different textures in there. A little bit of protein, a little bit of rice. It's outstanding. I'm blown away. This is the type of thing, once you get going with the spice and the rice and the protein, 2,000 calories later, you're like, what happened?
And you know, once you're having an event, everyone is looking forward to the jollof.
Be it funeral, be it naming ceremony, wedding, there's no party without jollof. And just the art to it, that's what I said in the last episode, that I just want Ghana to be remembered for jollof. Just like burger is for Germany and pasta to Italy, I want Ghana to own the jollof scene internationally.
Speaking of foods that represent Ghana, we have a lot more to see today. We're headed to 3 more locations. Oh wow, this was like quite a process. Chichi, our journey is finished with you, but thank you so much. This was incredible. And thank you for not making me choose between Nigeria and Ghana.
Well, you know, it's not over yet because we were gonna ask you.
Look at the time. Yeah, we better get going.
This is the moment of truth.
This is tough.
Let your heart speak.
How about I say it this way? I've had jollof in 2 countries. This is the best jollof rice I've ever had.
Thank you. It's on camera. We have evidence.
After taking in some of Ghana's most affordable food, I'm shifting focus to more of this country's iconic classics. From food cooked on the streets,
Wow, that is such a unique combination.
to some of the most expensive food you'll find in this city.
Our tasting menu can go anywhere from $100 to $1,000.
Per person.
Yes.
Chef Maame is by my side, and we're headed to a spot whipping up a classic carbohydrate called kenke.
Chef Maame,
Yes.
where have I brought you?
We are in Jamestown, Kenke House, one of the best Kenke house in all of Accra, they are saying.
A kenke house is like a bakery, but instead of bread, they're making, well, kenke.
Kenke is one of our local foods made with corn dough and then cooked inside the corn husk.
The daily production of kenke begins with a lot of corn dough, which gets divided in half. One portion is placed in a giant pot of boiling water and mixed until it becomes thick, while the uncooked portion is set aside for later use. The corn dough itself is fermented for 3 days, giving it a distinct taste and smell.
So in a day at the Kenke house, they start around 7 a.m. They try to make sure they get it on stove by 10 a.m. Kenke is more like an afternoon dinner meal. So like around 3, 4 p.m., people are looking for that hot kenke to buy. And if your kenke is good by 6 p.m., you're done.
So right now we have some kenke that's halfway through its journey.
So the next step is for them to mix in the fresh cornmeal.
Oh wow, this looks like quite a process. So once the dough is formed, she kind of shapes it into small balls, and then she puts it inside a couple of corn husks.
Yes, they're practically like overlapping until they get all around, and then they dig a hole in it so they can twist it and push it in. So this is a technique to make sure that it doesn't unravel when they're cooking it.
Who taught her that?
Her mother started it 30 years ago, and now she's too old to actually do it. So she passed the recipe down to her, and then her and her daughter are now taking over the kenke business.
From here, the bundles undergo a 4-hour boiling process before they finally become soft, glutinous kenke.
Should we give it a shot?
Yes. You need to be seated, nice position, ready to dig in. You don't want to peel everything because you don't want your kenkey to get cold and dried up. And you got to make sure, you know, even though it's moist, you got to give it a nice...
Okay, you mix it around a little bit.
Yes.
I'm just very curious about the taste because it smells so sour.
It's semi, and if you get a good kenkey, it's a nice blend of sour, savory.
It's a hint of sour. It's so sticky, soft.
This is what you want. You want a nice soft kenkey. It's almost like Play-Doh, but stickier.
You know, when I went to a country like Tanzania, they also utilize maize, corn flour a lot, but it usually is just in the form of ugali. But I come here, and between maize, corn flour, cassava, rice, I see so many different types of carbohydrates being eaten as part of the normal diet. So why do you think there are so many different options here?
So every tribe has their own starch or carbohydrate that goes with them. I'm Ashanti, we're known for fufu. The Gans are known for their kenkey. You know, the Ewes are known for their banku. And then you have the Northerners who have their TZ. I think there's so many soups. So the kenkey has to be good, but whatever you're accompanying the kenkey with has to be even better.
Right here, we have Chef Maame's favorite, salted pig feet soup. To make it, salted pig's feet are boiled to reduce their concentration of salt.
I'm curious why that would be necessary to salt the pig's feet rather than just finding them fresh at the market.
So you know that a lot of our food travels back, centuries back, where fridges weren't made. And how do you keep things from spoiling, right? You're curing it with salt and you're able to leave it out without it spoiling.
In a wok, onions are fried with a generous amount of oil. Then comes a parade of spices and seasonings. Red bell pepper powder, tomato paste, tomato puree, nutmeg powder, curry powder, and a cube of chicken bouillon. Finally, the boiled pig feet jump into the oily scarlet pool. They're joined with more onions. Swirled, swirled, and swirled more, and after some time, it's finally done.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a dip. Oh, that looks so good.
Yeah, you want to balance the kenkey with a nice spicy stew. This is definitely it.
Yeah, I don't know if the sourness is coming from the kenkey or from the stew.
It's the kenkey.
But that adds an interesting note when combined with everything here. Otherwise, it's super savory, very flavorful, and then it's spicy too. Let's talk about those feet.
It seems like they've cooked it well where the meat is literally falling off the bone. Yes.
Oh, that's good. This is fantastic. I think since they've salted it, it's changed the texture of the meat and it's a bit more dense.
Yes, and then it also gives the bones this soft, gritty texture. I feel like my favorite part of eating pig feet is to play with the bones at the end. You can literally chew down the bones. And you know, even though you bought the feet salty, you don't want it to be overly salty. So you cook it for a while and then you add it to the stew.
I gotta take my watch off when I eat. I'm a sloppy eater.
Coming up, Chef Maame will introduce me to a new kind of pancake.
I could eat this with some whipped cream and maple syrup, I think.
No, it's not that type of pancake.
And she'll invite me to try some high-end African food cooked up by Chef Maame herself.
This could potentially be one of the most expensive restaurants depending on what you pick on the menu. You can get $1,500 dish.
But first, I want to learn how this Ghana-born fine dining chef cut her teeth in New York City.
I was born in Ghana, but I spent 24 years of my life in New York City. I started high school in New York.
After earning her culinary certificate in New York, Chef Maame honed her skills under the guidance of renowned Ethiopian chef Marcus Samuelson at his Red Rooster restaurant in Harlem for 5 years.
And how long have you had your place in Ghana?
I opened my place 2020 January, and then COVID hit. You know, it was sad that we had to close, but I feel like I used that time to restructure and really get myself prepared and have the concept exactly how I want it to be. So it wasn't so bad.
And how's it going now?
It's going great.
Soon we're gonna learn more about your restaurant and I'm gonna be trying some Ghanaian fine dining food.
Yes.
But for now, I hope you're not full.
Yes.
We're going for more.
The Tale is a genius Ghanaian solution to overripe, unappetizing plantains. It turns them into an appealing pancake that flawlessly complements this bean stew known as a boy boy. Creating tatale begins by mashing overripe plantains into a smooth paste. Next, flour batter, pepper paste, ginger paste, and onion unite in a flavorful mix, preparing to welcome that mushed up plantain.
You can't just use the plantains alone because once you start cooking it in the pan, it will just fall apart. But you also don't want to add too much flour because you don't want it to become doughy.
The final step is frying.
This is palm oil. It greases the plate so that the tatale will not stick into the pan. It adds flavor to it as well.
Sika is the second generation owner of this 50-year-old establishment.
I make about 500 pieces a day. I learned this recipe from my mother. She also learned it from her grandmother. It's a staple food for people from the central of Ghana.
Wow, that is such a unique combination.
You can taste the ginger.
You're right, it's not just pure plantain. There's a unique texture where you can taste this partially plantain and partially some other binders kind of helping it stick together.
Very flavorful.
But yeah, it's become like pretty bready.
But not too much, you know?
Right, yep.
Just the right amount. I love the tatales. But growing up as a child, I wasn't a big fan of the aboboy itself.
Aboboy.
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 This thick stew starts with bambara beans, soaked overnight, then boiled until soft. These West African beans look a lot like chickpeas, but lack the chickpea's thick outer skin. When the beans are ready, Sika adds some pepper paste, then some ginger paste, allowing it all to cook into a thick, fragrant stew.
Very tender.
Very starchy.
Yes.
It's got like a thin skin on the outside. Ooh, it's already, it's spicy.
This is why you add the plantain to balance it out.
Let's go for it. It's like the beans make it creamy. I like that.
And you know, the best part about this dish is completely vegan.
Yeah, that's really important to me.
Yeah.
I want to ask, I've been fortunate to go to about 9 or 10 different countries in Africa, and I've just noticed that internationally, African food is not very known. Why do you think that is?
So you have countries like Italy, France, Spanish countries that's already popular when it comes to vacations and traveling. Then it moved into the culinary. Now the food is very popular, but it wasn't the same for Africa. It's very rare you hear people say, I'm going to Ghana for vacation. So even though African restaurants were available even in New York, but it was more so patronized by the local that are, you know, the Africans who have moved there, or, you know, a few locals in the neighborhood who understand the food.
So not only is there not really enough knowledge about African food around the world, but when it comes to something like African fine dining, it's completely unknown. But this is a challenge you yourself have taken on, and this has become your pursuit and your life mission at this moment.
So the goal that I had for my restaurant is to be able to showcase Ghanaian dishes in a different light. So more modern on a fine dining scale. But one thing that we always try to do is we want you to still link back to the roots and still have the authentic flavors that it's supposed to have. So that's what we do at Gastro.
Chef Maame.
Hello.
Hello. Let's talk about the dish that's in front of us right now. This is inspired by a street food that's very common in Accra. I saw it at the market recently. Can you tell us the inspiration for this dish?
So the normal kosuana meko in the streets you see is just boiled eggs and they put the pepper inside. When I decided I wanted to put the eggs on the menu, I thought of, you know, how can I make it fun and not make it just regular eggs?
Utilizing turmeric and red cabbage, Chef Maame creates natural dyeing solutions to submerge the boiled eggs, infusing them with color.
I grew up in New York, and in the Easter time, we have these eggs. So I thought about, you know, brought the colored idea in there.
Though dyeing the eggs makes them pretty, all the flavor comes with the toppings.
So right now I'm gonna put in some red onions into our asanka. We're gonna add in some pepper. We're also gonna add in some pakoshito. We're gonna also add in some sea salt. Okay, so we're good. We're ready to add in our tomatoes. You have to make sure you get this nice and smooth. Woo! It's hot, but it's delicious. Take some pepper and put it right on top. We've pickled some onions and then we just put it on top. Garnish with spring onions, chives, dill, whatever you want. And this is how I make my kosuana meko.
All right, let's go for it. You just throw the whole thing back, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's so good. The hard-boiled egg part is a hard-boiled egg, but it's about everything that you put on top of there. The first thing I feel is just heat, radiating heat. Some sourness from, there's pickled onion on here, which is really fragrant as well. It's fun and delicious too. And I love that it harkens back to something local here. It's got roots in street food. It's something I've seen here on the street, and then this is the elevated version. They're beautiful. It turned out perfectly.
Thank you, thank you.
Next, we're gonna be trying something really special.
Yes.
You may not be able to tell right now, but this is a guinea fowl. It started out looking like this. And this guinea fowl has been curing under a thick coat of salt for 3 hours. Now it's removed from its salty cocoon and placed on a bed of thyme, blanketed with peppercorns, garlic cloves, more thyme, and a luscious layer of duck fat. Once sealed with foil, the baking tray is placed in the oven for 4 hours. In the meantime, let's discuss prices.
It's my understanding that this food is part of a bigger tasting menu that you're serving here.
Yes, our tasting menu can go anywhere from $100 to $1,000 per person.
So would that make this potentially Ghana's most expensive restaurant?
This could potentially be one of the most expensive restaurants depending on what you pick on the menu. You can get a 30 cedi dish or a $1,500 dish. The goal is to make it so that everyone is able to dine at Gastro. Even if it's a once in a lifetime experience, you get to experience this fine dining version of Ghanaian dishes and such.
The guinea fowl relocates from the pool of duck fat to a pan of bubbling oil. Once the guinea fowl's skin is crackling brown, Chef Maame portions it and tops it with yachi powder and pickled veggies. Then she serves it with jollof rice.
Now, at the end of this, do I need to say which jollof from this video is the best?
If you want to choose violence, but I try to keep the peace, so.
That's a good idea. All right, I'm gonna start with this. It looks like a little lollipop. Nice crispy outer layer, and it's not tough at all. I would say it has some density to it, it has some bite to it, but it's not tough. Some nice dark meat, great flavor on there. The yaji spice on the outside really adds another dimension. I like this. Right here I got the thigh. It's such a lean bird, but amazingly it doesn't taste like it's lacking any fat.
Not too gamey. If you add a little bit of the slaw on top to it, it gives it a little sweet, spicy.
Oh, it's great. And you know, it's a small bird, so it's perfect to share to get a good taste and then move on to something else.
Right.
This is Ghanaian fine dining. This is what it should be. For you, what is your goal with this place? What do you want to do next?
Gastro right now, I believe, is doing great, but we need a Michelin star in Africa. Gastro right now may not be at the level of Michelin star, but my goal is to continue to elevate the Ghanaian dining experience to get it to the point where we have stars in Ghana.
Would that be the first Michelin star in all of Africa?
Yes, which has to change. There are so many amazing restaurants in Africa altogether, even in Ghana here, you know. I don't know why we're not there yet.
I think it's long overdue. You go to, obviously, all across Europe. That's where it originated. You can find tons of Michelin star restaurants in the USA, but especially around Asia, too. So many different places that have been recognized. And there's many ways to be recognized, but the Michelin star seems to be that one nearly unachievable sign of perfection. So I think it's a fantastic goal.
After a taste of the traditional in Accra, we're en route to the city of Kumasi. Here, I'm taking on a culinary challenge that would test most outsiders. I'm talking about bushmeat.
What would happen if bushmeat was banned tomorrow?
She said I should tell you point blank that it will never happen.
And soon, I'll be eating a bushmeat meal from a wild African animal I've never seen before. Our day begins at a not-so-typical roadside stall somewhere between Accra and Kumasi. And trust me, you won't find a market like this anywhere else around the world.
I want to start with a simple question. What is this place?
Oh, this is the train station. They said about the bushmeat on here.
How long has this place been here? Do you know?
More than 50 years.
More than 50 years, wow. I wasn't born.
This is Abby, a Kumasi-born chef who will join me on today's expedition. Beside her, bushmeat vendor Isaac. Though the work ain't pretty, he earns up to $150 daily selling wild animals for food.
Can you tell me about the most common animals that you get?
They have antelope, grass cutter, porcupine, so many. many meats.
Do you have turtle here?
Yes.
I've never seen turtles strung up this way.
Yeah, me too. I've never seen it.
It looks like the weirdest kind of wind chime I've ever seen in my life.
Situated on a major highway linking Ghana's capital to its second largest city, Isaac's shop caters mainly to road workers, travelers, and drivers seeking exotic souvenirs in the form of fresh or smoked bushmeat. These are ideal for pepper soup, a classic Ghanaian recipe for bushmeat. Isaac is preparing one such dish right now, and he's kindly invited us to join in. His protein choice, the dik-dik. Commonly found in the bushlands of eastern and southern Africa, the dik-dik is a small antelope, so small that dik-dik adults weigh only 13 pounds. In Ghana, dik-dik meat is one of the many wild species permitted for consumption.
How does the meat get here?
Isaac starts by removing the dik-dik's coat and roasting it to burn off any remaining hair. Then he washes and scrapes it clean.
They collect from hunters before coming here to sell to the people.
So you're the middleman. The hunter, they go out, they get the animals, they sell it to you, and then the burden is on you to sell it to somebody else for more money.
Yes.
Next, Isaac removes the organs and chops the animal into smaller pieces.
How many different hunters do you see every week?
Chunks of dik-dik meat leap into a pot with onion, ginger, tomato, red pepper powder, bouillon powder, and a handful of salt. Then he lets it simmer for some time.
More than 20 hunters. They are hunted with the trap and the guns. They live from the villages.
Is it far, like very far from here?
Yes, Serbia and Koko.
In Koko, that's like about 2 hours.
Isaac adds the final touch in the form of habanero and tomato paste.
Abby, you're looking at the food.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think this looks good. From my experience, it looks spicy. This soup is supposed to be spicy, so I think it looks perfect.
As a private chef and food influencer, Abby makes it her mission to promote Ghanaian cuisine through social media. Despite her expertise, living in Accra, away from the bush, limits her exposure to bush meat. But when in Rome, she's more than happy to throw some back.
So, is this a good one?
No.
Well, there you have it.
It's good.
Oh, it is good.
So why do you say it's not good?
I didn't hear it well.
Let me give it a little bit of a sniff. All right, it smells good. It smells spicy. It smells a little bit gamey, too. Oh, yeah, that's spicy.
As it should be.
Plenty of spice. Holy cow. So it's very salty and very spicy. What do you think? Are you happy with it?
Oh, it was nice.
The broth is nice. I'm gonna try some of the meat. Wow, it's really lean. It's a little bit like chicken, which surprises me. It looks like white meat. It's almost like a pork tenderloin, but a little bit gamey.
Yeah, this is so good, actually. Do you like it?
I'm confounded. It's confusing. Look, I'm comfortable in an Applebee's with some half-price appetizers in front of me. Right now, I'm in the middle of the countryside in Ghana. I have a dik-dik in my bowl. I got smoke in my face. I got road construction behind me. I'm a little bit out of my element.
There's a lot going on, I get you.
And so, do I like it?
Yeah. You must.
I think I do.
When it comes to bushmeat in Ghana, what you see here is just the tip of the spear. Soon we'll be heading to Kumasi's largest bushmeat market.
What are the most exotic, rare creatures? I mean, have you ever gotten a giraffe?
But first, there's more to uncover at this roadside stall, including this, an unexpected encounter with one of the most prized bushmeat targets in Africa.
It's well known that it's illegal to have, but they have it anyways. Most people, when they come to Africa or to Ghana and they make a video about bushmeat, it's all negative. It's a way of life and a way of eating that most Americans cannot even begin to comprehend. What percentage of people in Ghana do you think are actually taking part in the consumption of bushmeat?
There are a lot of people.
Half the people?
More than half.
In cities, bushmeat is a rare and pricey delicacy, costing up to 3 times more than beef. But in rural areas where hunting is more prevalent, common species like grass cutters or small antelopes offer meat that's cheaper and easier to get a hold of. In fact, for some families, bushmeat makes up 90% of their daily intake of protein.
Why do some people in Ghana love bushmeat so much?
So he's saying that bushmeat is very nutritious here in Ghana. Most of the bushmeat don't have fat at all. Also, you know, when you go to the bush, right, there are some plants or some leaves that are very, 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 very high in their medicines. Those leaves are the leaves that these animals feed on. So the nutrients in it are very high.
Aside from Ghana, the tradition of eating bushmeat has deep roots in Cameroon, Nigeria, and the Congo. In spite of this, the hunting and eating of bushmeat has a negative stigma around the world. Most fear that this practice, if left unchecked, will lead to the permanent extinction of certain precious African species. This is a pangolin, one of the most critically endangered animals in the world.
At the bushmeat market right now, a gentleman just brought this out. He showed it to me. When we asked him if we could film it, if we could film him, he said absolutely not, because this is illegal. So what happens when something is illegal? It still gets captured, it still gets killed or hunted and sold, but they do so in secret.
The pangolin family consists of 8 species. They're found in tropical regions of Africa and Asia, and they're known for their distinctive overlapping scales, used to protect themselves against predators.
Its defensive posture is to curl up, to wrap its tail around its body.
Tragically, this natural armor, meant to protect the pangolin, is the very same thing that makes it vulnerable and sought after by poachers.
It makes it even a little bit more heartbreaking, the fact that they're so docile and gentle. It's not trying to bite me or attack, it's just trying to hide and wait for me to go away.
But who's after these pangolin scales, and for what reason?
You can hear me, right? Keep rolling.
I probe the camera-shy seller in an effort to learn more.
The Chinese people come to buy from them.
Our fixer Mavis helps us translate the conversation.
So you can dump the scale in water and soak it and drink.
Pangolin scales are merely keratin, made of the same material as your fingernails. But that hasn't stopped an influential number of Chinese from giving up their beliefs that pangolin scales have special healing properties, pushing market prices for their scales up to $1,500 per pound.
So do they transport the whole animal or just the scales?
So sometimes they come for the animal itself, sometimes they request for the scale.
In spite of international regulations protecting pangolins since 1975 and China's 2020 ban on consuming wild animals, smugglers still traffic tons of pangolin scales across borders each year. Meanwhile, I'm here in the middle of nowhere with a pangolin that's dehydrated and destined to become a blended toenail in someone's healing concoction. That I cannot allow. So $150 later, I'm the proud new father of this guy. The only problem is, I need to find a safe place to let him free, a place where he won't be caught by the same poachers. But in the meantime, Abby and I are heading to Kumasi's largest bushmeat market, and soon I'll be tasting a species from the bush that I've never tried before.
I didn't even know people eat bush cats.
Right now we've come to Kumasi Market. This place is truly gigantic, huge and sprawling. There are literally thousands and thousands of stores, stalls, and vendors here, including this place. This is the bushmeat section of the market.
Situated in one of the largest open-air markets in West Africa, this bushmeat market processes up to 500 animals per day.
I want to back up and explain a couple of my goals in this video. I think most Westerners, when they come here to do reports or videos or documentaries on bushmeat, it's really only done to villainize what's taking place locally. Of course, we all know the dark side of bushmeat, people hunting and selling endangered animals and so on. But bushmeat is also an industry that employs thousands of people, from people hunting animals that are not vulnerable species to those selling to hunters. So I'm gonna do my best in this video to look at both sides.
Once folks here receive bush animals from the hunters, work can begin.
A normal day for him, he wakes up at like 5 a.m. He needs to get here before 6 a.m. so that he can start working on all the animals that they will bring from the farm or the bush or wherever it's coming from.
It starts with a char, burning the hair so it can be scraped clean. Then they hack the carcass into large chunks. Some cut are smoked or grilled, then sold as is, while the rest are set aside for stews or soup. This will be our protein for our final meal, though I'll reveal the actual species later on.
So different animals can come any day. It can be from grass cutter to bushback, antelope, whatever it is, they can all come. So it depends on the hunter, it doesn't depend on them. By 7 a.m. they need to finish everything and then distribute it to wherever it's going to. Whether the market women will come for it or then the chop by women will come for it. So 15 years ago, he's been doing this.
What? It's a long time. Has anything changed about this bushmeat market in 15 years?
So he said people were saying that the COVID was from the bats.
Right.
Yeah, and then some other bushmeat animals. So once they heard that, it affected all the bushmeat animals. So nobody wants to eat it at all.
And it's affected sales to this day.
Exactly.
Do people know that COVID came from China, or do they think it came from somewhere else?
Well, I know that COVID came from China, but people actually think it's from bushmeat. Most of Ghanaians think so.
Though we now know that COVID-19 actually came from a laboratory in Wuhan, China, that doesn't mean that bushmeat is without risk. Zoonotic pathogens have spilled over into human populations in the past, but the government here has listed out animals approved for consumption, and that meat, purchased from reputable, clean sources, can greatly decrease any threats from the bushmeat. From the processing area, fresh meat is often purchased and brought to small eateries known as chop bars. In this chop bar's open kitchen, a cooking lady will whip up a groundnut soup for our final meal. First, she chops our bushmeat cuts into smaller pieces. While waiting for our food, Abby and I meet the Queen Mother.
I come in here and I'm like, why is this bushmeat market more orderly than half of Ghana? I think it's because of you.
The Queen Mother is an elected representative and arbitrator of disputes among traders.
When you became the Queen Mother, what changes did you make?
This one, I brought it here.
The cooler.
We put the meat on it. Then we take ice blocks, not to spoil. This antelope.
Oh.
We have antelope, black Dhaka, royal antelope.
After a thorough wash, the bushmeat chunks settle inside a big pot with a ginger onion garlic blend and tomato paste. Our cook adds water and lets it simmer until the meat softens.
My big question for you is, why is bushmeat important for Ghana? Why aren't you just eating chicken and beef and pork? Because you have all that here too.
She said that it's been a generational thing. There is no deeper meaning to why we eat bushmeat. But for her, she feels like God has provided it. So why not kill it and enjoy it?
So should bushmeat have any limits?
Halfway through the simmering process, the cook adds 2 fresh tomatoes and an onion. Then she focuses on diluting groundnut paste with some water.
Aside the ones that are actually illegal to eat, the only restrictions that is on it is the timing of hunting.
Right.
So from August to December, do not touch any bushmeat.
Once the meat is tender enough to absorb more flavor, the cook pours in the diluted groundnut paste, a pepper-tomato blend, and dried catfish. Half an hour more of simmering, and there's no turning back.
I have one last question. I want you to think about this a lot. If bushmeat was banned tomorrow, you cannot hunt it, you cannot sell it, you cannot eat it, what would be the negative effect to people in Ghana?
She said I should tell you point blank that will never happen here. She believes in God strongly. So she said God will never let that happen. But if that should happen, like you're saying, it will affect us badly because she's going to lose her job. It's something she's been doing from childhood. Just here in Kumasi, you can count over 100 people in this business. So just imagine the whole Ghana.
Generating around $136 million annually, Ghana's bushmeat industry is more than a handful of hunters and market sellers. It's a serious business and an essential source of protein for countryside folks, especially during the dry season when farmed meat is more scarce.
Even if you think they ban it, people love bushmeat so much. They can't afford to stay away from it, so it's not going to work for them.
The entanglement between bushmeat and its connection to the people of Ghana makes outright banning bushmeat a complicated matter. So instead of banning, the government has focused on creating and enforcing regulations. Those same regulations ban the hunting and selling of pangolins. Come to think of it, I was illegally sold a pangolin, and I think I just figured out what to do with it. But first, the groundnut soup.
Alas, our final dish, a dish full of exotic bushmeat.
Yes.
Here's what's wild. So right before we had this served to us, I saw more animals brought in, and there was a bush cat out there.
Do you want to try that?
Well, I'm not saying I feel like I'm missing out. It's just one of the few places in the world where you see stuff like that. I instantly thought, oh, that must be an accident. It must be illegal. And then we asked, and they go, no, it's legal. That's fine. Now, when it comes to this, we have the bush buck here.
The bush buck, a medium-sized antelope, weighing about 10 times more than a dik-dik. It thrives across sub-Saharan Africa, making it one of the most popular sources of bushmeat in Ghana.
So this is groundnut soup. We use it to eat any kind of staple. You can use it to eat bangkun, fufu, but preferably it's best eaten with rice balls. Like literally, it's the best combo.
The rice balls, when she was making it, it looked like oversaturated rice. She puts in a little too much water to get it soft, and then she balls it up.
That's it.
Oh, it's hot. It's been sitting here for 10 minutes. It's still hot.
What do you think?
Wow, I don't know. I feel like I got hit by 10 different cars. It was like a wave of experiences.
Yeah.
First, I tasted the gaminess, some kind of a flavor I've not really had before. That hits me at first. Now, the texture is nice. It seems well suited to soaking up this broth. Then I'm tasting tons of spice, tons of salt, and it's very spicy too.
Yeah, as it should be.
Now, I like the peanut part. It's giving me Thailand vibes. So, the bush buck, this is new for you. You've had plenty of bush meat, but never the bush buck.
How soft it is. It looks really tender.
That's pretty good. It's much more lean than beef. A little bit more like deer to me.
And really soft. I like it.
Skin.
Let's try that.
bit rubbery. You know, our soups in the USA, we never eat the skin like this. Do you know what we do with cow skin?
No.
We make shoes.
Why would you make shoes with cow skin?
I'm just saying, we don't eat it. It's a different type of texture. I wouldn't have liked it when I was 24, but I've gotten used to weird textures around the world. It's a bit chewy and it has a lot of collagen. I like it though.
I like everything about this food. And it's one of my favorite meals in Ghana. Ghana soup with whatever, whether bushmeat or whatever it is, I'll eat it. I don't know about you, but I'm happy about it.
I feel very conflicted on the issue of bushmeat. On one hand, I think that it's an important industry for the local people, and it's important for people to honor their history and their heritage.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's a dark side to it too. For you, as a Ghanaian, bushmeat, is it good, bad, or complicated?
I think I'll say it's good. Why would I say it's bad? I enjoy eating it. I mean, I'm enjoying this right now, so I would never say this is bad. I get what your point is. You don't want to like finish all the animals or let them go extinct. But for me, I think as an African woman, if something is good to me, I would eat it.
In that case, is it good that they're taking measures to reduce overconsumption? For example, they stop hunting from August to December. Is that a good thing?
I think that's the only way we can control that. So we can enjoy it and can also sustain it.
I think that's the future for Ghana and other parts of Africa.
Yeah.
I don't think it's reasonable to say that bushmeat should be banned. It's like going to Minnesota, where I'm from, and saying deer hunting should be banned. It's just like an ignorant statement.
Yeah.
But there needs to be governing bodies. There needs to be some limitation. Otherwise, that idea about will this go 100 years into the future, it won't even go 20 years into the future.
That's true.
If it's completely unregulated.
That's true.
Our journey with the bushmeat is done, but our story is not over. I've taken the pangolin and we've come here. Right now we are at Kumasi Zoo. We've just spoken to the people here. We've just come here unannounced and they said, yes, you can come in. They have an area here where we can release it. We're gonna go do that now.
The Kumasi Zoological Gardens spans 370 acres and is home to nearly 200 animals. Here they engage in breeding programs for endangered species, and they also provide sanctuary for orphaned animals. Here, my gentle pangolin friend is promised a bright future.
Right now we are inside the walls of the zoo, and here they have a huge forest area in this enclosure. They said actually they have about 30 pangolins in here already. I'm not the first to do this, which is a good thing. Other folks, they go by these street-side bushmeat markets, they purchase the animals, and they've also brought them here too. So it'll be a chance for this guy to reproduce and to live for another day, hopefully. So I'm gonna let it out of this Smirnoff ice box. And let him go on his way. I mean, I'm sure you can probably see why they're pretty easy to catch. They're like the most sweet creatures ever. You're so bad at being free. No wonder they catch you. Yes, go, go. Into the bush. We're turning the bushmeat back to the bush. Until next time, my friend.
With the potential for bushmeat hunting to deplete animal populations, there has to be a sustainable way to have delicious animal meat year-round. Luckily, there is.
Whoa!
Welcome to Ghana's giant snail farms.
That is massive. I can't believe how big these things can get.
Soon I'll be trying a green giant snail soup and learning if these farmed snails could one day save the animals of the bush.
Oh my God! I thought mine was big. That's huge!
But first, Abby and I have come to a local snail farm. What's being produced here could one day be replicated on a massive scale. But before we learn how the farm works, the farmer's sister is treating us to a small appetizer.
What is it that inspired you to want to own your own snail farm?
Hira is a nurse by day, but she's got bigger dreams, looking to follow in her brother's footsteps by diving into the world of snail farming.
They are very nutritious and it's far better than meat.
To prepare the dish, Hira starts by extracting the snails from their shells.
When it rains, you see them around the house.
Oh, just wild ones?
Yeah, you see people going around picking them.
You're saying if it rains now, the snails are coming out?
Yeah.
Where are they hiding? I'm freaked out.
When you take it out from the shells, you can keep the slime. It's very good for the immune system.
I'm sorry, keep the slime?
Yeah.
I knew this was going to be a special episode.
We'll save the slime for later. But first, The snails are marinated with salt, pepper, and Maggi bouillon. Next, they're skewered with onions before making their way to the grilling station.
We eat snails a lot, especially towns like this.
Is this something that you had as a child?
Yeah, I've had snails my whole life.
Once they're perfectly grilled, they're hit with a sprinkle of kebab seasoning.
Oh, wow.
That's hard.
Uh-oh. It tastes like wet soil. I've never had a snail like this in my life.
Does it taste good?
I like it. I'm coming around. The kebab seasoning adds a lot of spice to it. It's warm, it's salty, but man, the fragrance of that snail, it's like nothing I've ever had before. It reminds me of being a child when it rains and you just smell like that fresh smell of wet soil, the minerality of that soil. All that flavor is concentrated right here in the snail. And so I like that as a smell, but as something that I'm biting on, it's a new experience.
Snail consumption in Ghana traces its roots back to pre-colonial times, with ethnic groups like the Akan, Ashanti, and Fante integrating snails into their diets and cultural traditions.
You know, in an African home, having snail is like really ideal. Or maybe when on your bed, your mom can just make some soup for you. You should be lucky.
On your birthday, you say?
Yeah, you should be happy to have snail in your food.
Today, the demand for snails has soared so much that many forward-thinking entrepreneurs have ventured into the slimy world of snail farming.
Do people have a preference between the farm-raised or the wild snails?
Farm-raised is better.
Why is it better?
Because of the food that they feed them.
So listen, that's why we're here today. I've never been to a snail farm before. I didn't even know this was something that existed. It's something that's fairly prevalent and becoming more prevalent in Ghana.
Remember the snail slime that she saved earlier? Well, that's going to be the scary star ingredient for our upcoming dish. But before we dive into that gooey mess, I want to learn how snail farms work.
Are these like old freezers or refrigerators?
And who knows, maybe I'll form a connection and start my own snail farm.
It's old fridges.
So is this on?
No.
So how is it keeping it
It's
cool?
not working.
They're not raising penguins.
This farm raises 3 types of snails. The most common is the giant tiger snail, which we ate this morning. The biggest and most profitable is the giant West African snail. We'll be seeing those soon, but right now, I'm holding a giant East African snail.
That looks actually cute.
Snails are so weird because you kind of know they're comfortable because they extend their eyeballs all the way out. And they can't really see unless their eyeballs are fully extended. So right now, he's very comfortable with me. He or she. Is there a boy or a girl? How do you tell?
How do you know?
Are you looking for private parts for real?
Yeah.
Much like the snails on this farm, most land snails are hermaphrodites, meaning they possess both male and female reproductive organs.
They're the original non-binaries.
Every 2 to 3 months, the snails hold an awkward party where they inseminate each other. It honestly sounds like a blast. Then when the time comes,
So what?
they lay clutches of eggs in the soil.
Whoa, they look like little bird eggs.
Each clutch can contain anywhere from 30 to 500 eggs, and it takes about 2 to 4 weeks for the eggs to incubate and hatch.
So this egg will eventually become this snail.
Within a year of munching on eggshells and moringa leaves, the snails will reach maturity, ready to either start the whole process again or end up as someone's dinner at the market.
The kebab, that was just the beginning. But my understanding is you're gonna whip up something for us very special.
Yeah.
Can you look like you're not in pain? Like stop looking like you wanna leave so bad?
I'm okay, let's do it.
I know you're looking forward to seeing me consume that snail slime, but how about starting with an appetizer? Made by cooking the snails together with onions, a bit of salt, Maggi bouillon, pepper, and water. Boil the mixture until the snails are thoroughly cooked. Then finish by deep frying.
In coming to Ghana and knowing that we were gonna do this video, one of the big questions I had was why are people eating this snail?
You know snails is really rich in iron, and iron is good for pregnant women. So when you take it, traditionally, it makes the baby rotate well.
It makes it rotate. Is that good? How much should the baby be rotating?
Don't know.
This flavorful dish is paired with a spicy paste made from chili pepper and onions. On the side, deep fried yam.
You're a chef.
Yeah.
How often are you cooking with snails?
When I shoot some of my recipes, I use snails sometimes.
She steamed it first, that makes sense, and then she fried it so that the outside is kind of crispy. Do we put the sauce on the snail?
Yes, so
All
you can just dip it in.
Let's try it.
Really hard.
That's a tough snail.
But that's good, the pepper is really nice.
Yeah, but the star is supposed to be the snail. The difficulty, I think, in working with snails is that it's such a dense, tough, hard meat. You have to be careful when you cook it. And so I think when she's fried it, she's actually made them even more tough. But it still has an insanely distinctive flavor to me. Do you know what this tastes like to me? A bucket of fresh rainwater. Let's talk about this right here. She's made it into a stew. It includes snail slime as a key ingredient.
Really?
Yeah, the slime, it's in there.
For our second dish, the snails are fried then set aside to cool. Meanwhile, onions are prepared, chili peppers are minced, and tomatoes are sliced. Now for the assembly. Put all the ingredients back into the oily snail frying pot. Then add the fifth element, the superfood among superfoods, snail slime.
Are there health benefits?
The snail slime, use it for medicine or some kind of cream for your face.
My wife makes me put serum on my face.
What if that's snail slime?
I think it might be in there.
Yeah.
It does feel a bit slimy.
Next, add some Maggi bouillon. Then finally, add the fried snails back into the pot.
To eat with this, we have kenkey.
Kenkey is a traditional carbohydrate dish made of corn dough that's been fermented for a few days before being wrapped up using corn husks, then steamed.
Now, I had a different type of kenkey the other day. This is called fancy kenkey.
Yeah.
And what is the big difference?
The kenkey that you had is wrapped with corn husk. This is wrapped with plantain leaves or banana leaves.
I'm sure the plantain leaves are imparting so much flavor through the plastic. It is sticky on the outside, it's dense, and that is the corn flour. That's gonna be our vehicle for these snail flavors. So I think we should not even get the snail first. I want to just have the sauce because that sauce should be infused with snail slime.
That tastes so good.
I like it. Spicy, very tomatoey. You taste any slime?
No, it just tastes like stew.
It just tastes like stew. I like the kenkey. It's just like a nice, hard carbohydrate ball that you can pile different sauces and toppings onto. The only thing left to do is really pile a whole snail on top of there.
This is softer.
Much better.
This is good.
This is the best snail experience so far today.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the fried one was almost uneatable.
Exactly, I don't like it.
The first one is maybe like a drinking food. If some drunk guys want to gnaw on something meaty, but here, it's much softer. I would say it's almost akin to the texture of an abalone, something like that. Then all that rainwater, fresh garden rain flavor, it's kind of been diluted. Now it's just absorbed the flavor of the sauce. It's just tomato and spice. I like this.
Very, very good.
From the farm, the fully grown snails head to the massive local market in Kumasi. This is our next destination, and I'm on a mission to find the absolute biggest snails in this country that I'll soon be consuming in an epic snail dish. Hajia Market, the largest single market in West Africa, boasts over 10,000 stores and stalls. Pretty much anything is on the table. You can find food, meat, vegetables. Last time we were here, we even found bushmeat, but today it's all about the snails.
We have Wahima in front of us, snail expert, snail seller, all things snail. Ma'am, it's nice to meet you.
Ma, I said it's nice to meet you.
I think I woke her up. Nice to meet you.
Mr. Chamibi.
Oh, well, that was a much more stylish handshake than mine.
For over 50 years, Wahima has been selling snails. She gets her supply directly from farmers and sells them here day in and day out.
I spoke earlier in the video that these snails can get up to over 2 pounds in weight.
Like we saw at the farm, this here is a giant West African snail, but even bigger.
Oh, yeah.
Can I touch?
Are you gonna, you're trying to, you just touched its eye.
And they can actually get even bigger than this.
Whoa! This is probably the biggest shell. Now, there's no more snail in there, but you can see it's about 20 to 30% bigger.
These snails can be sold for up to $2 a pound, almost double the price of chicken or pork.
If you're not selling all these in a day, how long can you keep them alive?
A month.
A month?
Yeah.
With demand continually rising, snails are likely to get more and more expensive.
What is the biggest thing that's changed in the snail industry in the last 50 years? I imagine it's a slow-moving industry. Get it?
Except from that time, people didn't really consume snails that much. Now she makes more money than she used to make it.
And why does she think that is?
Because of doctors around telling us the health benefits of it, people actually like come for the snail water.
Snail water?
It's blue in color. It's really nutritious too. People come for that blue water just to treat whatever sickness they have.
Snail water.
Yeah. Water.
Soon I'll be trying the famous local green stew that's caused demand for snails to soar.
The final boss. It doesn't get more snaily than this.
But before that, a new type of snail preparation, only for the bold.
This is a whole branch, a stick full of dried snails. Now, is this a different species?
Actually, the same thing here. They actually take it out, roast it, let it stay for a while, and then they sell. She said this can last for over a year.
I believe it. I mean, it's like a rock.
Normally, we use this for soup. It tastes so good with soup.
Ma'am, do you want to try some with us? Oh, cheers.
Can you chew that? She said we don't just go straight ahead and chew it.
You have to rehydrate it.
Yeah.
I was hoping to make it a quick experience. It's a powerful flavor. It's pungent, very seafoody, kind of stinky, almost cheesy. And then the more you rehydrate it with your own spit, kind of the worse it gets. Like it tastes more and more intense by the moment. That's good.
High five.
Can I do a cool high five?
Yeah. Hey.
Now that we've bought the biggest snails we can find, there's only one thing left to do. Find a place to cook these guys up. Deep in the market, you'll find traditional eateries known as chop bars. Spots like these serve local recipes to hungry patrons looking for a break between shopping sprees.
We have reached level 10 snail. What do you call this?
Ebunu, but in English we call it green soup.
First, the snails are freed from their shells. Then they're thoroughly washed and boiled just enough to extract their prized slime, which is set aside for later use. In a pot, turkey berries, scotch bonnet peppers, onions, tomatoes, and cacayam leaves are added and boiled until everything softens into a delightful mess. This mixture is blended until smooth. With the preparation complete, it's time to cook. Pork skin, fried fish, that blended vegetable mix, mushrooms, the slimy water that was used to boil the snails. Yes, it's also used in this recipe. The actual snails themselves, more fried fish, okra, and a locally grown gem called Aden fruit are thrown in together.
When you're making soup like this and you don't add this, it's not complete. This is Aden fruit.
I've never heard of it.
Welcome to Ghana.
Thank you. I feel very welcome. I've been here for over a week.
Next, some blended cocoa yam leaves join the mix, turning the whole pot into a vibrant green hue. But this dish isn't complete without a carbohydrate component. Introducing fufu.
Allow me to introduce you to one of the coolest carbohydrates you will find in Ghana.
Fufu is a labor of love with an emphasis on labor. First, both the cassava and the plantain are peeled. Then they're steamed together until soft. When they're done cooking, separate the two carbohydrates and start pounding on the plantain.
Check it out, let me hear your shout. When your shouts in the snare beat.
You have one person pounding and one person manipulating the dough below.
After the plantain is thoroughly pummeled, it's set aside and replaced with cassava.
This absolute specimen of a man right here, I saw working all day just doing this one repeated action over and over and over. Mind you, this is not light. This weighs 20, 25 pounds down below. This woman's putting in the cassava. Soon she'll be putting in plantain and mixing the two and making sure not to get her hand broken in the process. This one? Ah. I'm helping. So now we're putting in a plantain ball. Now they're all gonna become one unit. Oh, Jesus. What do you think? Good?
That's right. Thank you.
After attempting to do that for 30 seconds, I am much more impressed by this process.
When the pounding is complete, the two starches merge into one glossy mochi-like entity, forming the base for our green soup.
Right here in front of us, the final boss. Let's go for it.
Do your hands like this.
Yeah.
Straight into the soup. Then you want to cut the fufu.
Oh.
And then you create like a hole in the middle. And then you fetch the soup.
Wow.
So you don't chew fufu, you swallow.
But how do you enjoy it in your mouth?
No, I just swallow it.
I want to enjoy the flavor.
No, you don't have to.
Here's what I don't like. Can I start with that?
You can, why not?
Yeah, all the random fish bones in there.
Yeah, I get it.
It kind of ruins the nice velvety texture.
Swallow. You're chewing. Swallow. You're chewing.
The texture, it is hard to pin down. It's soft, it's velvety, it's smooth. It's very unlike any type of American food. Oh, is it mushroom?
Yes.
What kind of mushroom is this?
This is a locally grown mushroom.
Is this gonna make me see things?
Maybe.
I hope so. It's a very good mushroom, very dense, very meaty. The soup itself is smoky, I think from the smoked fish they put in there, and savory, and it's got some nice spice to it. Now, this is very different from other things I've had, because I've had a lot of stews that were thick, but this is just a very thin soup.
This should be really light.
I understand, but the challenge here is I don't have a spoon.
This is a magic.
Alas, I think we should build up to this right here. These are some pretty fat snails. They're oh my God. I thought mine was big. That's huge. Well, I like your passion. I like it.
I think this is the best way to eat snails.
They're the softest snails we've had today.
Yeah.
This tastes different from any other snail I've had in my life. That super fresh rain, soil, pond, bog, muddy, algae kind of flavor.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. But the more I eat it, the more I'm getting used to it. I don't dislike it. It's just something so new.
Green soup is really expensive. You don't really eat it so much.
And so will people come to chop bars like this and order this food?
Yes, I do all the time.
I'm surprised people would come here for something expensive.
We don't mind the location. We can eat anywhere we want to.
You know, when we started this video, my idea was that maybe snail farms are gonna be the solution to bushmeat. But then I got here and I learned that people aren't that worried about the sustainability of bushmeat. And so I don't think this is gonna replace bushmeat at all. But I had a new idea today. I think that snail farms could inspire a new generation of sustainable meat production here in Ghana. That could come in the form of more snail farms, but it could also come in the form of grass cutter farms too. You said grass cutters are some of the most popular
bushmeat here in Ghana.
And when I was in Nigeria, they have them there with a controlled environment and they're making money from it. You guys already have. You have pig farmers here. You have lots of chickens or cattle farmers.
We have all that.
Sheep.
Yeah.
Why not more snails? And why not maybe some grass cutters?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I tried.
I don't know how one man is just going to change their mind. Maybe in the next 10 years, Ghanaians could go more into snail farming. We've learned how nutritious they are. We've learned how economical they could be. And I think snail farming is not hard. You can like easily grow and then make your snail farm. Let's go for it.
Oh, should we go into business together?
I wouldn't mind.
I do an investment?
We share.
Can I own 51%?
No.
Okay, how much do you think it would be to start a snail farm?
Maybe 10,000.
Wait, that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
I paid twice that for the hotel this morning.
After a taste of the wild side, I'm ready to leave Kumasi and head to the coast to the fishing town of Elmina. Here you'll find Ghana's wildest fish market. A place where hundreds of boats bring back their prize catch, no matter the shape.
Oh my God.
No matter the size.
That is insane.
And soon, I'll get a chance to tour Elmina's iconic fish smoke houses.
How long does it take to smoke a whole tuna?
But first, let's take a look around and check out the fish of the day.
Welcome to Elmina Fish Market. This place is wild, busy, bustling, and frenetic. It is chaotic, but there's a system here somewhere that the locals understand.
There's no better way to capture the essence of Elmina than by visiting the biggest fish market in central Ghana. A place where thousands of people gather each morning.
I want you guys to see and feel what it's like to be in this market. So we're gonna walk through and see some of the seafood that's available. Let's take a look.
Only a few hours drive from Kumasi lies a city with a population just under 35,000. Elmina. It's the biggest seafood supplier to southern Ghana, including the capital, Accra.
It is insanely crowded and packed here. Come take a look at this monster here. This looks like a giant pomfret, but I'm not exactly sure. The tough part here is if you ask for the name, people will give you the local name, but it's hard to figure out what the English name is. Take a look at this. The local name is the cassava fish. How much is this fish? That's about $75. It seems slightly expensive, but it is a huge fish. Wow. Everybody has an opinion. I love it.
When a small percentage of folks in Ghana produce most of the meat eaten in the country, well, it's pretty serious business.
That is a giant yellowfin tuna. This thing must weigh 150 pounds. Oh, look, she covered it up. Now we can't see it.
Though I've not brought it up until now, it's not been uncommon to experience something like this during our visit to Ghana.
The fish is wearing a hat. Why would the fish wear a hat? I don't understand.
Temperamental sellers, mercurial merchants, and folks who are willing to fight if you point a camera in their direction. That's what happened to us, and you'll see it by the end of this video.
On this side of the market, you can see all the boats have come in. They're manned with 10 to 20 guys. They fish whatever they catch, they bring back here, and they offload it to the market. So there is a system here somewhere. Right now, I'm teaming up with a local food YouTuber to tell me more about how this place works. Let's go.
Teaming up with me today,
Tatiana.
Hello.
We'll learn more about her later.
How are you feeling this morning?
I'm energetic.
It's hard not to be in a place like this. I just did a little mini tour, and they were like, if you're not buying food,
just leave.
And then if you're filming my food, you better give my food a talent fee, or I'm gonna put a hat on my fish.
Of course, we need money all the time.
We all do. It's understandable.
The market activates as early as 5 a.m. when fishermen begin returning after a long day's work or even a long week at sea, where fishermen hope to catch anything that swims.
The fishermen, are they selling to other sellers?
Yes, the fisherman will give you the price, his price. If you are good with bargaining, you get lower price.
So it's all about walking around and negotiating.
Yes.
Here, you'll find everything from popular species like snapper, tuna, and squid, to the more exotic creatures you'd never spot at the freezer section of a Costco. Think needlefish, hammerhead shark, and even this.
This is a shovel nose ray, and you're also selling what looks to be a bunch of spotted stingrays. Why are you exclusively in the ray business?
She says it's lucrative. She gets more money from this one. When she gets some from the fishermen, she sells this. When she doesn't, she sells crabs.
What kind of dishes is this used for?
You can use it for stew, soups, gravy, anything.
But every now and then, there are catches that steal the show and grab everyone's attention.
Hello, ma'am. I'm speaking to you from the other side of the biggest fish I've ever seen in my life. Did you buy this fish?
Yes.
Can we reveal it?
Yes, you can.
Let's take it off. Oh my
Wow.
God. So it's a giant swordfish. How much do you think this weighs?
Here's the price.
They don't scale it. They sell it with how long and big it is.
So how much would you sell it for?
10,000 cedis.
That seems like a pretty good value.
I think so.
Thank you so much for showing me this. I think it's a little bit more than we need today.
Yes.
The market goes strong until midday, when the sun gets too hot to handle. In the shade, some craftsmen find respite, dodging the sun as they tediously work on repairing broken fish nets, assuring they'll be ready for more fish catching later in the day.
Are all the nets here made by hand?
Yes.
I would imagine that the nets need to be fixed almost every time.
Every time they go fishing. It's full-time job. People bring in their net, they do it for them, and then they take it.
Well, here they also have people selling food.
This is tomato fish stew, but the locals call it fonte fonte. It's made with fried red fish, simmered in a rich stew of tomatoes, onions, garlic, chili pepper, and palm oil.
It's originated from here, the central region, and they are the Fantis.
The Fenty people call it Fenty?
Yes. This is Fanti Kenke.
I tried this with snails yesterday.
Wow, you have been eating.
I've been eating a lot.
Kenke is a traditional dish made from fermented corn dough. I've had it twice. Once wrapped in plantain leaves and, oddly enough, plastic.
Plastic?
Let's see what we're in for this time.
There's no plastic.
There's
in
no
this
plastic?
one. No.
Oh, this is what I'm talking about right here.
We are on the Fanti land.
So can I break it in half?
In Ghana, we don't use two hands to eat.
That's right. Then what do I do with my left hand?
Nothing.
Seems like a waste.
If you are eating with this, the left hand is insulting to the elders, to yourself.
What if I'm just doing other daily activities?
You can't greet with your left hand. You can't show directions with your left hand. It's like the left hand is useless.
What about going to the bathroom?
That one, you have to use your left hand.
Aha, it does have a purpose.
Only in the bathroom.
But can I tell you something? I also use my right hand in the bathroom.
Oh my goodness. Break it up like this.
Give it a little bit of a massage.
Yes, then you scoop it with the tomatoes.
And throw it back. Cheers.
Tastes good.
It's interesting. It's hot, it's rich, it's lacking a little bit of salt. I want to hit it with some of that paste, but I want to get some fish too. Can I just grab some fish like this?
Yes, just grab it. No left hand, no left hand. Good.
Thank you.
That's right.
That's my tone when I train my dog. Wow. I gotta say, the fish is actually quite nice. You do have to be careful to dodge the bones.
Very careful.
And this is a fresh fish, right?
From the sea.
I don't mean freshwater fish. I mean a fish that it's not been smoked.
No.
And so one of our missions today is to see this epic traditional way of preserving fish here, and that is by smoking.
Ghanaian food has some of the most deep, complex flavors I've experienced in Africa. Flavors largely attributed to smoked fish, a crucial part of Ghanaian cuisine. Smoking also extends the fish's shelf life and makes it easier to transport. But the way that folks here in Elmina smoke the fish is something magical. With fish piling up at the market and with the lack of refrigeration, savvy fish smokers bargain for the best bulk buys, then head back to fire up their outdoor open-air smokers. This is a job done by women, and it starts with water and a spark. First, the fish are soaked in water to clean them. At the same time, fires are lit under several brick ovens, stoking the flame, increasing the wafts of smoke set to penetrate a variety of seafood offerings. They have small baitfish, hakefish with their mouths fixed to their own tails, and mighty tuna, gutted and propped up on grates for hours and hours. In the meantime, Tatiana and I will see how these tiny smoked baitfish are transformed into Ghanaian chili oil, an incredibly savory flavoring agent known as
Shito.
And you're gonna see it soon.
Shito. We're trying not to get demonetized here. It's S-H-I-T-O.
Yes.
The O is very important.
Meet Nana Ama, the owner and cook of this chop bar.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome here.
A chop bar that's been around for over 50 years.
I'm still trying to figure out this definition because I've been to some chop bars that were like outside or open air, but you have 4 walls here. Why is this a chop bar and not a restaurant?
I think when you come here, you just get the idea of the chop bar because of how the food is being presented. You can stand here and then point at food you want to choose. But when you go to a normal restaurant, it's fancy, expensive.
Today you've prepared something very special for us and some things I've not had before. This is called
Banku.
Banku.
Banku is another staple starch on a long list of local carbohydrate options you'll find here. It's made by mixing fermented corn dough and cassava dough with water to create a batter. Sprinkle on some salt, then cook it while stirring continuously until the porridge thickens, transforming it from a grainy consistency into something smooth and satisfying.
Oh yeah. It has a nice sticky texture. It's a little bit like cooled down mashed potatoes, but slightly sour. Obviously the carbohydrates, not much flavor. But there's this one condiment I've seen in almost every food here in Ghana.
Shito is the premier flavor-enhancing hot sauce of Ghana. This chop bar makes it by blending together onions, ginger, green habanero peppers, and garlic, plus a splash of water to help smooth things out.
It's almost like Ghanaian chili sauce.
Yes.
People here call it a pepper sauce.
For us, we just say shito. Shito.
This is good. It's like you're hyping each other up.
In a saucepan, she adds vegetable oil, the blended spices, and chili pepper. Then it cooks until everything binds together.
So why is this the flavoring that everybody likes to add to their food?
Ghanaians like spicy food.
Yeah.
And it can stay for a year, it can stay for so many years.
Once it's boiling hot, add some chicken, then mix, some shrimp powder, then mix, powdered fish, mix, and hit it with some more oil, Maggi cubes, and finally rock salt. It's boiled for hours until all the moisture steams off.
I would like to take some of this banku and dip it into the shito. That's the best one I've had so far. That's really good.
Do you need water?
No water. I can handle the pepper. There are waves of flavor. Oh, my mouth is on fire now.
Oh, you need butter.
It has that umami flavor from the shrimp and from the fish, but with the pepper, it has waves of heat. I'm starting to see why you put this on everything.
Everything, it goes with everything.
Speaking of, I'm gonna remove these vegetables.
One hand.
Oh, sorry, with one hand.
Last but not least, the star protein of this meal, tilapia. First, a marinade made by blending onions, ginger, green habanero peppers, and garlic. Scale the tilapia, score their flesh, slicing to the bone, then smother each fish with those powerful flavors. Finally, deep fry the marinated tilapia until they reach crispy golden perfection. The banku, the fish, and shito come together in a dish that's beloved throughout Ghana.
The tilapia is amazing. The inside is kind of fleshy and steamed feeling, where the outside is more crunchy. And then when you pair it with that delicious sauce, you get so much spice, so much savoriness.
So you can do a combination.
All right, so fish, banku,
yes,
some onion,
dip it in the sauce,
and then
tomatoes.
Good.
Wow. This is some of the best food I've had in Ghana. I can't believe it. This is a great lunch. Your restaurant here, I heard before we got here, the power was off when we got here. But somebody told me you had to like prepay the power, kind of like prepaying for a phone or something.
Yes. We have our electricity machine over there. Then they give you a card. You put some money on it. The amount of money you put on it is going to determine the electricity you have for the month.
And then even after you pay for it, it still might go out.
Yes, if your money is not enough.
How do you work in these types of conditions? What is your thought process?
A lot goes through your mind. It's a tough challenge. Sometimes we have to find the ingredient that we'll be using to prepare the soup, the blender. Imagine how we are going to use that thing.
But you have to keep going.
You have to keep going.
There's no other option.
No. You have to keep going. Even if there's no lights for 3 days, we will still work.
Is that the attitude that's required to survive in a place like this?
Yes. Of course.
Is there something you tell yourself?
Oh, sure.
What do you say to yourself?
I say to myself, nothing will stop me. I'm unmovable. I will move on. I'm unstoppable.
I love it. What do you want for the future here?
Like a restaurant.
You get a restaurant and you charge a bit more money?
Yes.
I'm coming. Because I'm already coming now. Hands down, one of the best meals I've had. Top 3 so far in Ghana. Really amazing.
Thank you.
After a tasty meal, we're back to the smokehouse to see how things are progressing.
Ma'am, I know it's not the most convenient thing to have a conversation over a smoking fish area, but it looks amazing. Except for me, I look like a wet dog.
From a young age, Mary learned the art of fish smokery from her mother. Now her expert hands oversee the process day in and day out.
For some of these fish, like these smaller fish, how long will they stay good after being smoked?
Good, fresh. Okay, it can stay for like a year.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It can take anywhere from 1 to 3 days for the fish to finish smoking. It all depends on their size.
It's not really done. The water has to drain.
Is there something finished here that I could try?
Yes, this one is done. This one is red fish.
We had that this morning. So this is the smoked version of that. I'm gonna try to rip off a little fillet here. That looks nice. The bones are crunchy. I like it. No seasonings or anything like that, but it's a natural flavor with some smoke imbued upon the fish. It's quite nice. Now, is that completely done, or would you smoke these a little bit longer?
It's not really done. She will have to turn it up and then smoke it more.
How you doing there with the smoke?
It's too much.
Yeah, okay. I think we're getting smoked at this point.
Yeah.
So, I love what you're doing here. Next up, we're gonna be making some food with your smoked fish here, and I can't wait to try it out. Let's do that. We are eating our final meal of the day in quite a unique area. There's a lot of noise going on here, a lot of fans blasting. I was trying to figure out what this place even is because they don't really look like homes. It looks like a lot of storage sheds. And then there's these like semi-truck looking things, these containers.
They are for storage. They store their fish in it. It's like a freezer.
That takes a lot of energy. That to me indicates that there really is, a lot of money in seafood.
For our first dish, the smokehouse cook pours palm nut soup into a pot, made from a base of palm cream, onions, tomatoes, and peppers. Add fermented fish to the vessel along with halved crabs with shells still intact.
It's called apra pransa. If you do apra pransa and you don't have crabs on it, it's not apra pransa. No.
Absolutely not. This seems like another carbohydrate, except for it's brown. This is something I've not tried yet.
Palm nut soup and then corn flour.
Once the crabs finish cooking, they're removed and set aside. In the same pot of palm nut soup, add corn flour and stir until the mixture becomes thick. This forms the base of a sacred dish. A dish of the Gadongme people that dates back to ancient Ghana.
Oh, wow. The texture is like pumpkin pie. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's kind of like a loose cornbread, the texture, but heavy, oily, a little savory. It's got more flavor than other carb dishes here in Ghana. But how do you eat that with crab? Are you chewing the whole shell right now?
But why are you using 2 hands? 1.
Thank you for staying on me about that. Oh yeah, that works. You chew it and you eat it?
Some people swallow it, but I throw it away.
This crab is full of flavor. This is much more delicious than I expected. It's full of savory flavors, tons of spices. That's really good.
They spice it with ginger, garlic, onion, and some pepper.
I swallowed it.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. This is a coastal city, but so is Accra. What do you think really separates this place from Accra?
When you come to Elmina, you get that vibe of the slavery because everything started from here. We have Elmina Castle where we had the Portuguese come to slave our forefathers. So when you come here, it's very historical. Even though in Accra, there were some other castles over there, but here is the main place everything started in West Africa.
So this place is steeped in history.
Very deep.
Do you see that with the food too?
Yes, of course. We grew up eating this kind of foods and it's defined us. The fish is like the main job for the people of Elmina to cater for their family and so on.
For our second dish, we start by boiling cocoa yam leaves, green tomatoes, and habanero peppers. Once the heat turns them soft, these vegetables are ground into a paste. In a pot, she heats up red palm oil and adds sliced onions along with smoked mackerel, straight from the smokehouse. Pour this mixture into the grinding bowl with the ground veggies. Finally, top it off with shredded smoked tuna, alongside some soft boiled yams.
This is mpontomre abom. And then we have yam.
Do we use this to dip into here?
Yes.
All right, so.
1 hand. We are in Ghana. Good.
Oh wow, this is kind of hard. It's not that soft actually. I want to start with the greens here. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Wow, it's such a blend. The veggies are really fresh, but it's heavy at the same time. This is one of my favorite things too. We're finishing strong. I'm gonna get a load of these greens on my yam. I've got smoked tuna. Cheers. The fish is dense and then it has so much flavor. It's so smoky and it pairs so beautifully with the green leaves. It's really wonderful. I think Ghana has been one of my favorite countries for African food, for sure. And I can see there's a lot of like culinary merit, complicated dishes, these iconic condiments that have withstood the test of time and that are found all over the country and adored by everybody. So much so that if it's not there, people feel like something's missing.
Yes.
Okay, what gives it, holy shit. they gonna make it through?
It was in this moment that our camera swung back to catch a glimpse of an approaching three-wheel cart. The man in the orange vest jumped off the vehicle and approached my cameraman.
Hey. David, tobo. On chow. Hey, Ade. On chow. Hey, monko on chow. No, on chow.
I attempted to de-escalate.
Forget them. They are trying to show off.
Is it okay? It seems not okay.
Yate.
But moments later, they came back again.
Hey. Can I talk to you? Can I talk to you? It's a misunderstanding.
They cut us, so let's see.
Can I buy you a beer and we forget about it? It's a mistake. How about
After a while, they lose steam and head out.
Hey, somebody just tried to fight us. What happened?
Yes, I don't know what they want.
Sure. What are the chances that he actually punches one of us?
He can never do that.
Just talk, right?
Yes.
Well, what are you gonna do?
I wish I could say this was the first and only time we'd experienced hostility like this in Ghana, but it wasn't. That's what makes this a complicated place. When it comes to folks here, some are ready to scrap at the drop of a hat, while some have a heart so pure it almost makes your own heart ache.
Whenever I'm filming outside my comfort zone, if you talk, I'll just tell you that I'm not taking any video of you, so just leave.
Something people watching now may not know about you is actually you grew up most of your life not in Ghana.
No.
When you were 11, you moved to Italy, and you lived there most of your life.
Oh, yes.
Being outside of Ghana for so long, then coming back, what is it that stands out about Ghana that you love so much?
Me being a content creator, I like to showcase what I didn't get growing up. So me coming here made me understand first my language well, second the people around, and then thirdly the food.
For me, Ghana is a fascinating place. I would say this country is not for the weak.
No, not at all.
With that said, I'm extremely grateful, and this was an extremely delicious meal, so I'm glad I could share it with you. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Boom, guys, that is the end of video 5 and the end of our series here in Ghana. I want to say a huge thank you to all of the hosts and people involved, including the local production team, everybody who made this trip happen. And today, a very special thanks to Tatiana next to me. Shake that hand.
You're welcome.
What'd you think of today?
It was great. I loved today.
This was a wild day. We got to see so many sides of Ghana, try so many foods, and I wouldn't have traded it for anything. Maybe like a stuffed crust pizza. You can follow Tatiana on her YouTube channel right here. Follow her fun food adventures in Ghana, Africa, and beyond. Anyways, guys, that is it for this series and this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Peace. All right. Can we go find those guys and beat them up? I think I could take on 3 guys with 6 packs.
We are in their town. We can't do that.